تو جو پہلے پریزنٹر ہیں ہمارے وہ ہیں سبینہ شیخ، جو انڈر گریجویٹ اسٹوڈنٹ ہیں ہندی اردو فلیگ شپ پروگرام کی، دوسرے سال کی اسٹوڈنٹ ہیں. تو سبینہ اپنے پیپر سے شروع کریں گی. اور اس سے پہلے میں آپ سب لوگوں کے سامنے یہی عرض کروں گا کہ یہ اسٹوڈنٹس ہیں اور یہ ان لوگوں کا منٹو کے ساتھ پہلا سیمسٹر ہے، تو آپ لوگوں کو اس بات کا خیال رکھنا چاہیے کہ یہ بہت ہی محنت سے پڑھ رہے ہیں منٹو کو، اردو میں بھی اور بعض لوگ انگریزی میں بھی. ایک کلاس میں سیمسٹر پڑھا رہا ہوں منٹو کی جمالیات پر. تو جو یہاں اسٹوڈنٹس ہیں زیادہ تر وہی اسٹوڈنٹس ہیں جو اس کلاس میں انرولڈ ہیں.
سب سے پہلے السلام علیکم سب کو. میرا موضوع ہے منٹو اینڈ ویمن ناؤ اینڈ دین. سعادت حسن منٹو. An introduction for a man so famous and for some so infamous is difficult to compose. He's known as the leading Urdu short story writer of the 20th century, an obscene and vulgar individual, a felon in the Indian penal court, an alcoholic, but most importantly, a sensitive man. When people analyze Manto's work, they often misconstrue his cognizance of the woman's plight with vulgarity. However, today I will discuss the parallels and variants in Manto's writing in regards to women, with contemporary artists and authors today. Specifically, I will focus on 3 of Manto's short stories: Dhuan, Tapish Kashmiri, I'm sorry, that's a typo, Dhuan, Yazid, and Kundne. In the story Dhuan, Masood's older sister Kulsum embodies several different forms of womanhood and femininity that Manto tries to depict. For example, Manto describes the objectivity of Kulsum's body when he describes Masood's sudden arousal from pressing on her legs. He writes, اس کے دل و دماغ میں ایسے خیالات پیدا کر دیے جن کا کوئی سر تھا نہ پیر. اس سے پہلے کئی بار اس نے اپنی بہن کلثوم کے ٹانگیں دبائی تھیں، مگر وہ لذت جو اسے اب محسوس ہو رہی تھی پہلے کبھی محسوس نہیں ہوئی تھی. It is quite clear from this statement that Masood has no control over his feelings and finds no realistic explanation for his arousal. He compares the flesh on her buttocks to the flesh on that of a dead goat. He imagines the sensation and image of smoke rising from her slaughtered body just as it did for the animal. He diverts his attention from these foolish thoughts because he realizes the absurdity in the matter and feels shameful to perceive his sister in such a manner. Manto is alluding to the objectivity of women and their bodies in the time of the partition. He writes in more detail about the abuse of a woman's body in stories like Kholdo, but touches on this idea in this story as well. He is explaining the frequent disconnect between the male disposition and appetence. The objectivity of women is evident not just in modern literature, but in advertising, entertainment, and almost every industry in the world today. To objectify a woman for a sense of sexual desire in order to obtain a goal is perfectly common. What else would be the explanation of half-naked women dancing in music videos, selling food and alcohol, and even advocating for such organizations like PETA? The world is banking off the idea that sex sells, and a woman's sexuality is the greatest commodity. While Masood treats his sister's body as interchangeable with an object like flesh, society treats women and their bodies with a disregard of subjectivity and deny them the right to ownership of their appearance. Women are instruments who are at the disposal of larger enterprises. On the other hand, in Yazid, Karim Dad's wife Jana portrays the ideal sensitive woman who is often offended by the crassness of her husband's words. When Karim Dad refers to his prospective son as a suwar ka bachcha, she implores, "Kyun gali dete ho apne ko?" She is offended by the way Karim Dad speaks and sporadically makes it evident when he surprises her with his sarcasm throughout the story, but she loves him still. Her sensitivity is made even clearer when Manto describes the grief from her brother's death that keeps her heart stained in black. The conclusive opinion Manto has about a character like Jana is summarized in the line, "Aurat zaat hai, mumkin hai ki uske dil ko aur bhi dukh pahunche." Manto generalizes that women have a larger capacity of emotion and mocks the idea of censorship from them for their sensitivity. Because of this oversensitivity, Jana made herself believe that whatever Karim Dad said was correct. She is innocent and naive, and all those harmless characteristics that leave her at the mercy of her husband's wishes. But is it correct to interpret her sensitivity to her brother's death and her husband's speech as complacency? After all, Karim Dad names the child he once referred to as a suwar ka bachcha, Yazid. Don't you think he could be taking advantage of Jaina's passiveness to assert his male dominance on every aspect of her life? Perhaps his motive is not to be a sarcastic suer who wants to belittle the once infamous name Yazid. Perhaps his true motive is to belittle his much younger, more beautiful wife, who he knows is vulnerable and delicate enough to be the victim of his games. A contemporary version of this hierarchy is seen in Khalid Hosseini's A Thousand Splendid Suns, in the characters of Maryam and Layla, who are the wives of the abusive antagonist in the story Rashid. Hosseini uncovers valuable social truths about the precarious existence of youth during the era before the Soviet war until after Taliban rule. And most importantly, he draws attention to the horrendous existence of women and girls at this time. Although this story is not established in the literal present, Hosseini acknowledges the fact that many of the realities of this time are still in effect in modern-day Afghanistan. Just as Jaina is the submissive wife of Karim Dad, who must abide by his ridiculous decision to name their son Yazid, Maryam and Layla prostrate themselves before their cruel husband to survive in their society. The subservience of women is a continued theme in both stories and is evident in even more present-day literature and film. Jhumpa Lahiri, like Manto, is a renowned author of short stories, and in the story Mrs. Sen's, from her book Interpreter of the Maladies, she describes the dependence of a woman on her husband even after immigrating to America. Mrs. Sen is an Indian-born immigrant who is slowly learning to drive and relies on her husband for nearly everything as she lives in a nostalgic existence based around simple pleasures that remind her of India. She depends on her husband and is in a way responsible for her situation since she is resistive to change. But who can blame her? She is accustomed to men driving in India, so why would she accept the challenge of learning now? Mrs. Sen might not depict the modern-day young Indian woman, but she does represent a large group of first-generation Indian immigrants and women from the provincial areas of India and Pakistan. The last modern-day example of this level of hierarchy is more severely shown in Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy's documentary Saving Face, which transcribes the disproportionate impacts of acid attacks on women. This form of violence stems from social phenomena deeply embedded in gender order that has historically privileged patriarchal control over women. Although Karim Dad and Jaina share a loving relationship that has no indication of physical abuse, the subordination of Jaina as a character is evident in her acceptance of all that Karim Dad does and says, and can be interpreted as a form of psychological abuse. The last story of Manto I would like to discuss is Pundane, which delves most deeply into a woman's mind. The main character, who remains unnamed in this story, is a complex personality who is molded by the different social interactions she observes growing up in an upper caste home. From a young age, she witnesses adultery simultaneously with death, which creates a person who is desensitized from normal society and more acute about her own desires and wants. This is evidenced from the line, दुल्हन को जाने क्या सूझी, कमबख्त ने झाड़ियों के पीछे नहीं, अपने बिस्तर पर सिर्फ एक बच्चा दिया. The use of the phrase बच्चा दिया instead of बच्चा पैदा किया makes the reader believe that she ignores the distinction between animal-like characteristics and human characteristics. By the end of the story, the main character is a self-indulgent woman who cares about no one but herself. Manto writes, कोई भोज सवाए उसके ख्यालों के बाकी ना रहा था. She spends her days drinking, adorning herself with jewels and painting. She was the antithesis of Jaina and is comparable to many upper-class women today. Celebrities like Madonna and Lady Gaga are analogous to the idiosyncrasy of the main character in Pundane. They too are artists who fulfill their own wants and desires before questioning how their ideas fit into social norms. Part of their fame is due to this trait. The increasing dehumanization is evident in the story as humans are first compared to animals, then fruit, then with inanimate objects. This increasing dehumanization mirrors the desensitization that occurs in the protagonist as she becomes more and more self-absorbed and careless about society and people in general. Aside from this theme of desensitization, Manto plays on the inversions of syntax, a terse writing style, and surreal metaphors to depict a world of moral anarchy and ultimate meaninglessness. Through these two themes of desensitization and moral anarchy, Manto is portraying the opposite extreme of womanhood. He overemphasizes the independence of the character in Pundane in order to capture the ridiculousness of his time especially in understanding the individuality of women. Because our generation has such iconic and independent women like Benazir Bhutto, Indira Gandhi, even Hillary Clinton and Oprah Winfrey, one can say that our generation has a better grasp on this idea than the past. Within these three texts, Manto focuses on the objectivity, sensitivity, and individuality of women during his time. It's not difficult to draw parallels into our society today. Women were exploited during Manto's time, and they're exploited today as well. He was sensitive to women and wrote between the lines of his stories to defend their cause. Despite all the criticism, Manto was a genius and an author whose writing transgresses time, and that's why the importance of Manto is evident still today. So to the connoisseur of alcohol and prose, on his 100th birthday, I say cheers, Saadat Hasan Manto.
Beautiful.